Hello, 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 hello. How are we all today? I can see a few people in here. We've got Matt, Eric, Mr. Pecker, Daniel. How are we all? Just got to make everything so I can actually see what I'm doing. um, yeah, so just thought it will. Mr. Jack Pines was supposed to go live, and unfortunately, that wasn't able to happen today. So I thought I would a little bit of a um, live stream while I'm doing some editing. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me, just so I know I'm not talking to myself on my lips aren't just moving the bottom right hand corner. Okay, you're doing well. That's good. That means you can hear me. Move this over here so that I can see the chat, but I can also work on what I'm trying to work on. While I'm here. G'day ABC. Awesome, you can all hear. That's what matters. Okay. Pritchell. So what I'm doing at the moment is so you can see on this page I'm actually working on hardy tools. Just going through and collecting a few things and putting them together at each page that I work through. I've got to pretty much edit everything that I do. So it all makes sense in the context of the book. So at the moment, I'm just doing. So I've got a section all on hardy tools. So as you can see, so this is seven pages long, or six pages long at the moment. So scroll up, you can see all the different hardy tools I've got in this section. Off what I'm doing here, and I can show you some of the other things. This is basically what I was hoping to get it done by this Christmas, but unfortunately, that's not going to happen because I procrastinate too much. Take a second. Hole fillers, yeah, that's it. Okay, so as you can see, I've got 7 odd pages on this. Click over the shop machines. Let me see if you can see that. Yep, I can. You can. Good. So for shop machines, so that other one with hardy tools, this is shop machines. So I have 21 pages of shop machines, everything from home built grinders, drill presses, press clamps, home built chucks and cranes, foot vices, all that type of thing, even a bandsaw. That's 21 pages of that. I've got 35 pages of other tools and implements. So this is all stuff that doesn't really fit in anywhere else. So I've got stuff like cant hooks, fence strainers. Here I've got branding irons. Fishing spears, gaff hooks, crowbars, forks, hose, rakes. So all different types of things that don't really fit in anywhere else. This is quote unquote other forging and maintenance. So this has got how to fit an axe handle or how to fit a hammer handle, fruit tree cutters, fireplace thing, Christmas tree holders, hawks, gravity hinge, handles, all just general bits and pieces of forging. Yeah, fence strainer. So I've got in other implements and tools. I'll just scroll down here and I'll go to single page view. Just a second. How do I get the single page view? Just a moment. So let me scroll up. Up or down? I'm hoping it was up. Nope, might be down. Okay. Let me go back down. See if I can find it. There it is. So this is a how to forge on wire strainer. So yeah, well, a fencing wire strainer for chain link or different types of fencing. So yeah. That's what that's about, and this has got 35 pages on other tools and implements, and on the so basically if I open everything up, and you guys can probably help me out, see how many actual pages. Go move 3 pallets for the wood stove. Fair enough. That works. So let me see. Ladders and swages. Nope. Why that closed up, I don't know. Open up tongs. No, I didn't. Tongs. Banding. I already got hardy tools. Yep. Power hammer. Knives. No, don't need to open that one. I got other forging and maintenance, have I? Nope. I do have other tools and implements. So if anyone's got a calculator handy, you can help me add up the pages I've got. Just a second. There we go. So on welding, welding and brazing, currently got 6 pages. Second. 6 pages. Some welding and brazing. I have 36 pages on decorative ironwork. 12 pages on shop tools. Oop, typed in there. 12 pages on shop tools. Winches and barracks. Don't know yet. I haven't got the winches yet. I do have shop crane, but not winches. Is currently 2 pages on saws and saw hammering. So far, I know I have a whole section of that I haven't actually put into that yet. So recipes. So this is stuff like blacksmith finishing, blacksmith black, how to make writing on steel, welding fluxes, gun browning, all that type of thing. So as you can see, I've got a whole heap of things I've got to go through. The reason why this is red is because I've got to go through and work out some of the modern terms or alternatives, modern alternatives to these chemicals. So yeah, so that's the reason why it's in red. So anything you see in red, I'm going to have to go back later and change or correct. At the moment, this is just collating everything and putting it into the document, and then I'm going to go back and I've got to do another editing run. As you can see, all these documents are separate at the moment, so I'm putting them all into place, and then I'll be putting most of it into one document, and then going back and changing and adapting things in order to make them a bit more cohesive. That's my process. It works for me. G'day, Steve. How are you? Yeah, so making it a bit more cohesive to me, and like I said, my process. So yeah, the 6 pages on that. Power hammer stuff. So this is different types and designs of power hammers and all that. So there's 28 pages of that. I don't know if you guys are keeping count. I am, thankfully. I haven't actually gone through and done this yet. So this is electroplating and whatnot. This is other facts and anecdotes. So this is actually about the first patent adjustable wrench or vice grip. So the patent, the first locking plier or vice grip was actually claimed to have been invented by William S. Peterson in DeWitt, Nebraska in 1924. However, there's in the Blacksmith and the Wheelwright in 1917, W.S. Owen actually says that his design was patented, although there's no proof of that. I can't find any evidence of a patent, but it was in the 1917 edition of Blacksmith and Wheelwright as an adjustable vice grip, adjustable wrench / vice grip. So that predates the first vice grip or locking plier by the first mass produced one by 7 years. So that was interesting. And that's 2 pages. So hey, Boar, how's it going? Yes, they're all here. Hey, Kev. Yeah, I thought I'd just do a quick hour of editing. And that's only 1 page for that, so it's just knives. They'll have a bit more on knife making. Of course, I'm not writing a knife making book, but you know, considering this is a general smithing book, having a little bit on knives is kind of to be expected. This is a whole section on how our power hammer was built. So that's plus 7 pages on that. And this is a bit on founding, smelting. That's 7 pages on that. Forging tongs. Just this section on forging tongs is 10 pages so far. and different methods of tongs and whatnot. That's 10 pages. Fullers, ladder fullers and swedges. 3. Drills and drilling. That's 8. Case hardening is 7. And then the main part of the book, you can see I've got notices on this because it's, you know, things I've got to delete and change and all that type of thing later on. Got to put a safety disclaimer in there so people don't go injuring themselves. But this is 179 pages long, and this is just first sections I've got put together. Yep. I've got to go, as you can see, as red. I've got to go through and re-highlight, go through and change those numbers to make sure they match up. Because at the moment, the figures and numbers are literally all over the joint. As you can see, I'll go from 19 here back down to so this one's marked 19. This one's marked 14. This is marked 22. So I've got to go through and you know, I've got 13 here, so I've got to go change that. So the numbers are all over the place, which is why they're highlighted in red. So when I go back and do my edit, I can change all those to the right numbers. So no, I haven't got water hammers or air hammers in there yet. Simply because I haven't come across information on water hammers and air hammers. I'll probably put something in there about water hammers. It's just that I haven't come across it in my research. Like I've got hundreds of pages of notes, and I mean, if I'm just, like I said, I'm just adding up what I've got so far written. And just for what you guys have seen, I'm already up to 326 pages. So plus 7. Done that. Plus 7. 21. 35. 17. Yeah. So just from what you guys have seen, I've already got 406 pages. And I'm nowhere near finishing. So just on my immediate notes, I have 1, 2, 3, 5 folders, and first folder I've got about 30 pages, and then other 4 folders. So if I average 30 pages per folder, yeah, that's 4, 8. Just in this, I've still got another 15 odd folders to go. So like, and I'm already 400 pages in. Yeah, so this is going to be at least as thick as Practical Blacksmithing, the annotated Practical Blacksmithing. So it's going to be at least that thick, and I'm trying to make it more comprehensive. So like I said, you know, I've got all sorts of hardy tools. So just in this, like just in the hardy tools, for example, let's scroll back up and I'll give you a look. So I've got making one type of like a bolt-on hold fast, and a spring center punch for the hardy, a springed swage, a springed swage, an anvil bridge, another type of hold down, a bolt or rivet header, um, a uh, a chain link hardy. So for forwarding chains, a little a bic for a chain making, a scrolling hardy. So all different types of hardies. Like I said, went through the shop machine before, all different, bandsaw, all that type of thing. I've got bolt cutters, in the other tools and implements, just to go through some of them. I've got garden hose, a whole different range of ways of making garden hose, a pitchfork. That's got to go to drills and drilling. I'm gonna change that later. Crowbars, several different types of crowbars, um, fishing spears and harpoons, gaff hooks, um, and axes and um, punch chisels and um, branding irons, stuff that you didn't find um, in practical blacksmithing, and stuff that you don't find in a lot of other books. Um, that unless you really, really go looking for them, um, how to make a wrench, like just this one here. I've got an adjustable spanner or adjustable wrench, um, so that you have the ability to forge your own tools. Um, yeah, bolt cutters, offset alligator wrench, uh, shears, splitting wedges, scribe awls, socket chisels, a saw set, um, which will go, that goes in line with the other section I've got on saw hammering, a grafting iron for orchards, a gambrel for butchering pigs and cattle and stuff like that. Forging a garden rake, all these types of things that um, garden hose, as in hoeing the garden, not hosing the garden. Um, but language is language. But yeah, so I'm putting in all these things that you don't generally find in, and I mean, you guys can't see it, but I've got dozens, not only on my computer, but I've got dozens of blacksmithing on my shelf, both historical and modern, and none of them cover these particular things, or none of them going into the things as deeply as I'm going for them. So that's kind of my aim, to have a really good in-depth book, that pairs up with practical blacksmithing and some of the other classics on blacksmithing, so that people can pick it up and go, hey, this has got, if I need to, I've got an order to make a rake. Someone wants to do a historically forged rake. Well, I can go to this book, or you can go to this book and open it up and go, okay, there's how to make a rake, without having to, really figure it out and rediscover the wheel on your own. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to preserve some of this knowledge. Look, it's out there. I'm not making any of this stuff up. This is all stuff that's coming from, that already exists. And all I'm doing is putting it in a form that's easy to access for, because a lot of people don't have I've been joking lately that I'm undiagnosed ADHD, because I can fall down a rabbit hole and find all this information relatively easy. But a lot of people don't have the time or inclination to be able to chase down a rabbit hole like this. So, and yeah, I haven't touched on shovels yet, and I do have something on hay dehorners. I haven't done anything on hay knives yet. I do have, like I said, in another section, which is in other tools and implements. I've got on an orchard grafting knife or grafting iron. Um, but yeah, no, like hopefully, like I do remember the hay knives and whatnot. Um, I'm pretty sure I've got notes on that. And so yeah, hopefully I cover that. But yeah, like I am trying to make a supplementary or a so the working title as I've got it at the moment is a practical blacksmith companion. So like you've got the book The Practical Blacksmithing. Yeah, so this is a practical blacksmith companion. It's supposed to be another book that goes along with your collection that has everything else you need. I'm not gonna. I'm one thing I'm not touching on is I'm not touching on how to sharpen plowshares because that's all in practical blacksmith and all the other books. I'm touching on making things and having things in this book that aren't covered so extensively in all the other books because this was things that blacksmiths passed the knowledge between themselves or passed down to you know father from teacher to student or between blacksmiths that worked in the same town or when they were doing their journeyman and learning. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to really cover with this book. And that's what I think is important. Yeah. But I mean, if you have any other suggestions, like feel free to add them in the chat. So I'm actually gonna go and add that to my. Where's that? I'm gonna go up. Notes. Not what I wanted. I want quick notes, and I'm gonna add your comment there. Yeah, with Eric. Yeah, Eric. I'm gonna add your comment on shovels, hay knives, and dehorners. So I remember to look into that, make sure that that's in there. Screwdrivers will definitely be in there. I can say that. I don't know. Don't know if I've already put that in or is that's in other. I was actually looking at that earlier because there's a different way of grinding screwdrivers. Screwdrivers are actually a little bit concave rather than convex. Can't remember where I saw it. There it is. So if I'll just transition over to. So I'll just transition over here. So just above my head here, you should see like the picture just above my head. This is one of my sources. And so this is actually a section on screwdriving, on making screwdrivers and how they're supposed to be ground. So the first one where it's convex, and it is fatter in the middle and the edges, is actually the incorrect way of making an incorrect way of making it is supposed to be so above the like this one where you can't see my mouse. So the above the top one is the incorrect way of grinding the screwdriver. The bottom one is the correct way. So it's supposed to be concave. Need to make a wrench for tightening the bolt that holds the wagon wheel onto my demonstration forge. Haven't found one that makes all the tools. Yeah. So, there's a couple of different ways of making wrenches. It depends on the type of wrench. I'm presuming it's a square head bolt. You want to like that also depends on whether you want a box wrench or not. There's an alligator wrench. I got let me transition back to the other window and see if I can find that this is an adjustable wrench or a hammering wrench. I think it's in one. Yeah, there. So just above my head now is an adjustable hammering wrench, which is all hand forged or all for self forged. Let me just fix that. That's not supposed to have a dash in it. It's made by A.H. Sainsbury. And yeah, so that's adjustable wrench, and that would have been used on working on wagons. So yeah, so but I've got a couple of different ones. So again, another method of forging a wrench should just be just above my head now. And then you've got just off to my left here, you've got like what was called an alligator wrench on wagons and wagon wheels, stuff like that. So I'll have it like I said, I'm trying to find a couple different methods for making similar tools, so that there's not, as we all know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to forge a tool, and I'm trying to make sure that each there's several methods on doing the same thing, because you come across all different sorts of bolts and all that type of thing, and one method might not appeal to a person as much as another method. So, or they might not have the skill or ability to do one as opposed to a different. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing it that way as well. Second of that's used. A hardy tool. I have hot glass in it. Cut that out and there was hold fast. Fast. Gotta get that one, so man, I've got to go back in up, so I add it in. Yeah. Had to close the chat for a moment. Hey Craig, how are you? Things are going pretty good. Yeah. So you should when I put it paste it in the document I'm working on. See in just a minute. This is the first time I've actually come across a what we know as a holdfast or a shepherd's crook holdfast in the instructions. So just above my head now, shepherd's holdfast. Now know as a shepherd's holdfast. Okay, it's on the right page, and everything's looking decent. Okay, drop that onto the next page. Yeah, and that's exactly right there, Eric. Books on how to do it wouldn't be a bad thing either. Particularly if we're doing like generational shifts. If we're technology travel to somewhere like Alpha Centauri, um, and there's a planet there that's habitable, and it might take 3 or 4 generations to get there, or 2 generations to get there. There's not going unless you're sending experienced people there and forging on a ship. Probably isn't that smart. Um, to be perfectly honest, Boar, I've got no idea. It doesn't give us an explanation in the instructions. Um, that's just the way that that was sent. That was done by a G. Brenner from Texas. So yeah, forging in on a spaceship probably isn't that great an idea. So sending a book, and instructional videos and all that sort of thing. And that's why I think what we do as issues a very important thing, because there's that educational and future educational quality to it as well. These are things that there's no these are things that can be taken in the future across in a database and learned on the ground. It might not be pretty to begin with, but they're going to build up that ability, just like many of us have. Many of us don't have the privilege of having been taught by an actual instructor. Okay, most of us have had lessons, but we haven't had the time to take um, most of us haven't learned in a formal trade setting. So oh yeah, no, like an induction forge will work. It's just that you're in a very enclosed environment on a spaceship. I'm sure they have scrubbers and all that type of thing. You know, and it may be that they send blacksmiths, but having a book of information, no one person is ever going to know everything. So having a book of information will still be handy. Go into the future, going into doing interstellar travel and um, setting up new colonies and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah, and absolutely, and like I said, I'm not saying that you wouldn't be able to forge on the ship. It may not be the safest, but you still could do it absolutely. And by the time we end up doing it, it's probably going to be necessary to be able to pass on those skills. But no one person is going to know everything. So having books and stuff like that would be a good tool going into the future as well, um, in my opinion. Don't need that. Right, so that is ornamental. Back and open up forging now. Decorative. No, it was decorative. Decorative. Is it? A drilling flares tool. Power. Other forging, other tools, power hammer, some suggestions on decorative ironwork. That's what I was opening. Roll all the way down to the bottom of the roses and flowers and all sorts. I had to close it out again. And that's exactly right. Forging in zero G would present different challenges. But there's also the forge welding would be easy in certain situations as well. With the lack of atmospheric pressure and the lack of atmosphere, particularly on spacewalk, metals can fuse together. Just iron can fuse together just by holding it together, without very much pressure at all. So going outside the ship and forging in 0G with 0 atmosphere could theoretically be beneficial, depending on the circumstance. And as for traveling with YouTube, I can download YouTube onto my phone, download videos and watch while I'm flying, so I'm not attached to the internet. Downloading videos to watch later. You'd have a database, particularly if it's a generational ship. You'd have terabytes of data. More than you could watch in a lifetime of information and videos and how-tos and all that type of thing. Surely they'd be able to include blacksmithing in part of that as well. I'm sure that Star Trek has fast and light travel. That's what warp is. And theoretically, fast and light travel in one way, like moving faster than light, is not theoretically possible because the speed of light is a hard limit. The way Star Trek does it is they warp space time, and they kind of so there's something Einstein bridge. Anyway, they fold space time and kind of punch a hole through it and shorten the distance that way. So that's kind of theoretically possible, but with our current level, that is still science fiction. Whilst it may be possible, they expect the first interstellar travel to be generational. So it will be people on a large ship, a very large ship, kind of like an arc ship, that are traveling their whole lifetimes, and their children will be the ones that actually get to settle on children will be the one that get to settle the actual place, as opposed to the parents themselves. So that's the expected first interstellar travel. So I think it's at our current level of technology. If we got up to a certain speed and were able to slingshot around our sun towards Alpha Centauri when we're at the optimal exit level, they expect it would take approximately 60 to 80 years to get to Alpha Centauri with our current level of technology. So by the time we settle, no, not 60. 2 or 3 generations to get to Alpha Centauri. I think that was it. But by the time we settle Mars and all that type of thing, and we're looking to other solar systems to settle and whatnot, it may only take us, 30 or 40 years to arrive. Oh, wonderful, Craig. Are they still holding up? I hope they're still holding up for you. So yeah, and by that stage, communications technology and all that type of thing, will be, I'm sure, leaps and bounds ahead of where we are now. We may have quantum communications and quantum computing and all that type of thing, which would change the game immeasurably. So yeah, but yeah, all right. So right, so now you can actually see live um, editing and how I kind of start the process. Word, back to that one, down, that, 1919. There, let's scroll up a bit. All capitals. I'm glad they're holding up for you there, Craig. I've actually been making some more tongs lately because I've either broken or been restricted in the ability of what I've got at the moment. So I've had to make a few sets of tongs lately in order to achieve the things that I needed to get done. Had to make a set of 40-inch or 6mm tongs, stock 6mm stock tongs recently. So that was good fun and made the jobs I was doing so much easier. And it makes making hooks a lot easier too. Without being too florid. Florid. Florid is a word. What does florid mean? This is another thing I like about when I'm doing the editing. I come across words I don't really come across before. Florid. Having a red or flush complexion or excessively intricate or elaborate. Florid. Well, there you go. Helps me expand my vocabulary as well. Well, Eric, it would worry me too, but in a situation like that, it's more of a wow, I had an echo there. It's more of a how to put it. They would spend a lot of their time in active training. I read a sci-fi book about a multi-generational ship. So they were traveling to. There was a major cataclysm on Earth, and they built about 6 or 7 generational ships of several thousand people, and they called them arcs. And they sent them out to different star systems in the hopes that these star systems would have habitable planets. You know, from Earth, they detected what was likely to be a habitable planet, and they basically sent these ships out. And they had massive interior artificial environments as well, where a part of the compulsory schooling of the children was survival training in different environments in order to, and of course there was a certain amount of gene augmentation and whatnot in these scenarios as well. But some people were genetically altered to be more stronger and work in high density gravities and all that type of thing. But part of the compulsory schooling from the children to age 16 was survival training and how to build fires and active survival training for camping, because these young people were expected to be either on the ship and training the next generation, so therefore they need to know it, or be the ones that were actually settling the planet. So and that made sense to me in the way of that would be in a real multi-generational ship. That would actually be the likely situation where part of the actual designated training would be survival and survival training for when they actually landed and how to set up a colony to be successful. And that would include farming as well. You and specialized farming, and also certain sciences and whatnot. So there's that, and that was a really, unfortunately, the author didn't complete the stories, which was unfortunate because they were really interesting. But yeah. No, that's not a party pooper at all. It's a very, very valid question. And it's like a multi-generational ship would be a completely different environment to live on Earth. Um, so, and we're also thinking of a situation which is very hard to comprehend for us, because not only are we thinking about the future, but we're thinking about technologies and a lifestyle that we can barely comprehend. We know it's going to happen, but it's like, it would be like, and you see there's pictures of it where people in the late 1800s trying to imagine what it'd be like now, where we're flying around in hot air balloons, and it's still all coal power, and they're still using gas lanterns, and the tech, we are so far advanced technologically than what we were 120, 140, 150 years ago. 100, and it's really weird to think about, but 150 years ago was only the 1870s. So on a time scale, we have come so far beyond what they were able to imagine then. And even though we're living it now, you've got to remember that the what was it? Star Trek started in the 1960s, right? The Star Trek, the next gen, and so that was with Shatner, and then the next generation, that was the 80s, and they'd only had flip phones then. The 90s was Voyager, and they had what we would call tablet computers. So these things that we now have were science fiction less than a generation ago. Complete science fiction, or weren't even comprehensible. We have technology now that is so far out of what they could have imagined back then. That was only imaginary 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Like I said, I'm 38, and I come from a time from where before there were tablet computers, where even desktop computers were a thing. Mobile phones were relatively new, and they were those big bricks. Most of you guys would remember a time before mobile phones. So, like the fact that we have touchscreen mobile phones is space age technology in the 90s. It's the type of technology that they were using on Star Trek. So we have technology that we're using now that was literally, Star Trek type technology not even 30 years ago. Humans are remarkably adaptable. I'm also a fan of a sci-fi genre called HFY, or Humans Fuck Yeah. It's Humans are Space Orcs. If you ever have a chance to look up HFY on YouTube, I listen to it while I'm driving. There's a couple of different channels that do it. Agro Reads is one of the ones that I think it's called Agro Reads. But yeah, there's a whole heap of channels that do it. They read stories about how, they're all science fantasy. They're all science fantasy. But, us interacting with alien races and all that type of shit, and how we, on the galactic scale, we are considered like really scary because we're hyper adaptive. We have hyper healing. We breathe rocket fuel, being oxygen. And we come from a planet that is actively trying to kill us. Humans are space orcs, and Earth is space Australia. For all intents and purposes, our planet's trying to kill us most of the time. So and we're also pursuit predators. So whilst we don't have claws or fangs or venom or anything like that, we will run. Like, humans are designed to chase prey down. We are what's it called? What's his name? That that mask wearing murderer from the Halloween series. I forget his name. Mike Myers. That's it. We are the Mike Myers of the galaxy. We just keep coming. Where other animals on Earth get tired and we can literally run them to death. Comparatively speaking, the only animal that can keep up with us is dogs. Even horses. Horses can carry more weight. On a purely fitness level, a horse will run. It will run further. It will run quicker a certain amount of distance, but it will drop dead before a human will stop. So, and that makes us terrifying. And we are predators because our eyes are on the front of our head, and we have canines and all that type of thing. We're an omnivorous species, but we are predators. And we're not ambush predators either. We are pursuit predators. We will chase things down, and that makes us terrifying. And so we're kind of the orcs. We're the boogeymen to a lot of the universe, and that's the HFY. That's the Humans Fuck Yeah, or HFY series. And that's possible too. There's that the ability to transfer large distances like that is impossible. Yeah, exactly, Eric. There are instances of humans beating horses in long distance races because horses have to stop. Humans have remarkably stupid levels of endurance. Comparatively speaking, we can run for days, with short rests, or at least keep moving, and walk consistently or jog consistently for days on end. That's how the human body is designed. We are remarkably energy efficient. whereas a lot of animals will run and run and run and run and run and stop, and then they have to rest for extended periods of time, and we can literally run our prey to death. Before the advent of steers and whatnot, that's how we hunted. That they theorize. And that's why the only other animal on the planet that has been able to keep up with us, and the reason why they're called man's best friend, is because, yeah, we bred dogs to be able to keep up with us. And you've got to remember, we genetically adapted dogs to do that. Selective breeding, and we've made dogs that were able to keep up with us. Yeah, and I'd say that's likely to be true. There's still a tribe in Africa that can do that. You know, like, you got to remember that um like a marathon, uh second, a marathon is a ridiculously long race, and you know, we train in order to make that race as fast as possible. How fast can you run a marathon? You know, not just how far can you run. I think the longest distance run by a human is something astronomical. Um, okay, so the longest distance recorded run non-stop by a human was in 2005. He ran 350 miles non-stop. It took him 80 hours and 44 minutes. So what's that? That's, hang on, 80 divided by 24 equals just 3.5 days. It took him to run 350 miles, 560 kilometers. That is ridiculous. In 3 days. My wife's a redhead, Eric. Well, Forrest Gump was a movie. Um, yeah, okay, yeah, she married me, so she could be an alien. Let's be honest. But yeah, so like. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, But anyway, I do believe. How long have I been? Doesn't even. Been running for just over an hour. I think it might be time to call it. Everyone in the house is starting to get up and get going. Um, so I'm going to call it for this evening. Go say good morning to my wife. I hope you all you have a wonderful Sunday. If you have the opportunity, get out there and swing your hammer. If not, do something productive. And yeah, if you can't do something productive, listen to a HFY story. Get hyped on how cool humanity is. And I'll catch you all next time. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye all.